Thank you, Billy. This week, I think I already told you, the title of today's talk is How to Live a Joy-Filled Life. And the other title is How to Be the Most Joy-Filled Person That You Know. Either way, however you want to look at it is perfect. It's kind of a follow-up to last week's talk about what if. And if you were here, you know what I'm talking about. If you weren't here, you don't, because the gremlins played with the audio. And they turned it off because they were just being bad. No, just kidding. They actually turned it off so that people would start coming here and visiting us in person instead of just watching it on video. But I'm kidding again. But anyway, I messed up and I hit the mute button is all it amounted to. And I did not realize I did it. And of course, we have all the video and no audio, and I didn't think anybody wanted to watch me do nothing. So I didn't post it. But anyway, the thought around this talk came to me. It was early in the week, maybe even over the weekend, when one time we were having the thunderstorms and everything was going crazy, and I was working in my office and had the windows open because the temperature outside was really nice, and there were some birds out there just playing. They were just playing around. It's those little bitty, I don't know, swallow type birds, about so big, and they just zip around all over the place. And literally, they were playing out on the front porch. They'd fly out into the rain, even though with thunder and lightning and everything, they'd come back. And to me, it looked like they were just in pure joy. And I'm thinking, okay, now if they can do that, what prevents us? Why can we not just stay in constant joy? Well, as this thought's going on, I came out here a couple of times to the property, and even in the rain, I saw the rabbits out there running around, playing and goofing off, and just seemed like they're having a good time. The squirrels. Okay, if nature can stay joyful, even in times where they can't get out of this weather, when they can't get out of what we sometimes look at as a negative thing, why can we not? You know, why do we fall out of joy? And that's really what it is. We are created to be joyful. We are created to live in joy. We are expressions of God. That's pure joy. There's no better example of pure joy than God. You know, in that joyfulness, look at the creation that occurred everywhere we look. So, anyway, so I get on the internet, and I like to research stuff, and I type in joy, and up popped up one of my favorite authors and teachers, speakers. Her name is Brené Brown. And Brené did a 12-year study on joy. She is a research psychologist. I'm not sure the exact title of what it is, but she doesn't sit in an office with people, doing counseling, but she researches behaviors. And she did a 12-year study on joy. And she found some amazing things. The one thing that she talked about, though, was I saw an interview with Oprah, and in this interview she said joy is the most, or has the potential to be the most terrifying and horrific experience we ever had. And she goes on to explain, and I'm going to put my words into this as well, okay? She goes on to explain that when we experience joy, we see it being taken away from us. And in that moment when we move from the joy to seeing it being taken away from us is the most horrific and terrifying thing that we can see. Her example is a parent looking down in the crib at a sleeping baby. It's pure love. I experienced more love than I thought was even possible. And in that same moment you think, oh, but what if I'm not good enough? What if I can't take care of this baby? What if something happens to this? What if this baby is gone? You flip-flop. We do that when we are in our human self, when we're in our human limitations. When we can be totally in our spiritual self, when we remember our oneness with God, when we remember the limitless abilities we have when we're there, we don't experience that terror. I say this kind of goes hand in hand with last week's what if. This is what I was talking about. It's not what if this goes wrong, it's what if this goes right. When we're in our spiritual self, when we are fully recognizing our oneness with God, we don't have to experience those terrifying what ifs. We can stay right there. Now, it's not always easy as you're standing there looking at something great and then those what ifs pop in, those negative what ifs pop in. It's not always easy to go, I'm one with God, everything's great. That's not natural for us in most cases. We've trained ourselves to go with the flow on, oh my God, what's going to happen? That's a learned experience, so we can relearn it. Brene was asked, how do you relearn it? And she quotes that she had tens of thousands of bits of data over this 12-year period. Hundreds, if not thousands of people that she talked to. I don't remember the exact number. Each and every one of those people, each and every bit of data pointed to the fact that in order to have joy, they had immense gratitude. You can't have joy without gratitude. We kind of knew that. We've kind of talked about that. Her study proved it up. In order to be fully joyful, we have to first be fully grateful. It's not the other way around. Society, this crazy world that we live in, or sometimes crazy world that we live in, teaches us that, oh, well, when I get that car, I'm going to be grateful. I'll be grateful for it all day long. I'll be grateful for it for the first month, and then I'll start getting tired of it. I added that. Gratitude does not come second. We are grateful first. Then joy can come in. It's not the other way around. If you cannot find something to be grateful for, step out those doors. We can hear the birds singing right now. I don't know if it's coming through the microphone, but I can hear them outside. I can be grateful for that beautiful noise, that beautiful song. Every day that we come out here, and we're getting all of this rain, every day that water level changes, so I get a brand new view every single day. I'm grateful for that. I love that. I love the changes that I see. Change is scary for some people. Find a way to be grateful for it. The fear factor goes away. But in that, when I'm grateful, there is no part of me that's not joyful. Now, we talk a lot about the rain all day long because it's been hitting us over and over and over again. I think we've broken records. We have more rain now than we had all of last year so far. And we're just now, still a week left in May. That in itself, that cloudiness, that no sun that we're experiencing, that's going to change your attitude. So you have to work extra hard to find the gratitude. You have to work extra hard to be grateful for things. The lack of sun has been proven to cause depression. So if you're starting to feel that after all of these day after day after day after day of clouds and no sun popping through, you're going to have to find other ways to be grateful. You can find it anywhere. Be grateful for the chairs that you're sitting in right now. Be grateful for the abundance of air that you're breathing. You know, you can read all the reports you want about the nastiness of the air and the pollution that we have. We're still breathing it. We're still alive. Be grateful for it. If you don't like the pollution that's in it, do something to clean it up, but be grateful for what you have. What we do is we let that kind of stuff happen. I'm breathing, but I'm breathing this nasty air and it's making me sick. Well, that's your belief, and your belief will create your reality. You could go the other way. Man, I am so grateful I'm breathing this air. It's keeping me alive. I think I want to clean it up a little bit more. How can I do that? Change your perception, like we did in our meditation this morning. Change your perception. Change your perspective, and you can see it in different ways. Be grateful for the water. Yeah, I mean, that water's coming up. It's causing some flooding in some places. We got word this morning about the homeless shelter in McKinney being flooded. It's divine order. I'm not sure what it all means. But I do know that I can be grateful for the fact that I got word, so now I can go down there and do something to help. I can do whatever's within my power. And then anything else, how can I feel so bad about that? If I can't do more than what I can do, how can I hold that against me? I don't. I'm grateful for what I can do, not what I can't. I stay grateful for what I can do. I stay grateful, even if that is just a prayer. Just a prayer. That's a pretty powerful thing you can do. But I can be grateful for that. And I don't have to look at the other things as a downfall. You're grateful for what you have in your life, and the joy comes in. You allow that to come through. Wanted to read a quote again from Brene Brown. This quote is just absolutely powerful. She talks about vulnerability, and that's kind of how she got her start. Before I read the quote, she did a TED talk, and TED is a conference of some great speakers, and you hear everything from speeches about technology to psychology to spirituality, anything you can imagine. It's just beautiful. It's one of my favorites. I can get lost on the TED website. Go in there and you see all these speeches. Well, that's where I first saw Brene Brown. And she was doing a talk about the power of vulnerability and how being vulnerable is the only way you can step forward. You cannot move from point A to point B without being vulnerable. Even in going home today, you have to be vulnerable in order to get in that car and drive to your house. Maybe it doesn't feel vulnerable. Maybe it only feels that vulnerable as opposed to jumping out of an airplane with a parachute. That may feel even more vulnerable. But any change you make, any movement from where you are right this second on, there's vulnerability involved. Her speech talks about embracing that vulnerability, taking it on, using it as a resource instead of a block. All of that to tell you, now her quote's going to make sense to you. Her quote is, "When we lose our tolerance for vulnerability, joy becomes foreboding." And I'll say it again. When we lose our tolerance for vulnerability, joy becomes foreboding. When we let fear take over, joy is impossible. So we have to release that fear. We have to embrace vulnerability. We have to embrace gratitude. Those are the two keys to living a joy-filled life. Embrace gratitude. Welcome vulnerability. And you're going to find joy because you're going to be doing things that you, as one with God, should be doing and are able to do. You're not going to be limited by this human body. You will become fully Spirit-filled, fully joy-filled. Thank you.